What's up, y'all? What's going on, family? It's time to get this debate on. It's time to do this thing. He knows the sport is here to bring y'all that heat and that fire. Woo. Getting ready. We in the Sun Tzu, aka Art of War style. It's time to get this thing going. That's right. Let's go. Let's flood this thing up, man. Let's get these thumbs up. Let's get the participation. I'm about to call in. You know what I'm saying? If IBFP or whatever the fart his name was showed his face, y'all can see this dude sweating. Y'all see me, man. I'm looking fresh to death, ready to get this thing going. So let's see. I'm about to call this dude in real quick. See what's up with him real quick. All right. Let's see. Let's call this man right now. 469. All right. Calling the man right now. Let's see if he shows up. It's a little early. It's a little early. You know. See, I'm so ready to debate right now. It's not even funny, man. That's the thing. When you're ready to rock and roll. You ready to go.
Please leave your message for.
All right, we're gonna try again at 11 o'clock, my time, 2 p.m. his time. But in this debate, we've already know all my real G's out here in these NBA, in these boxing streets. My bad, you know, I'm a dibber and dabber in so many sports. All my real G's out here in these boxing streets, y'all know what time it is, man. Make sure y'all hit the thumbs up. I got 6 participations, 7 participations, 4 thumbs up. Let's get these numbers looking the way they're supposed to. You know, I'm just here to do my thing real quick, man. Get this debate going. Get this guy ethered and murked real quick. And then on to the next, you know, guy, you know what I'm saying? Whoever. Right now, it's the path of least resistance, which is IBFP or whatever the fart this dude's name is. Ooh, I'm amped. I'm amped right now. I'm geeked. 6 more minutes. 6 more minutes before RIP to IBFP. Jose Gonzalez. Look at this, boy. I knew. Hey, we have my real G's out here in these boxing streets, and we have the Rudy Poo and the Plum Brain Marky Garcia fanboys, the Jose Gonzalez's and the Jose Martinez's of the worlds. Just listening to those names, you can tell they the IBFP or whatever the fart that dude's name is. I'll call them the disciples. They'll moderate and watch this dude like nobody's business. We got another 6 more minutes. Yeah, I give that man time. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm figuring he's probably gonna have his girl on the line with him. Remember, he needs a shoulder to lean over once he gets ethered and murked, because that's what's about to happen on this debate. Everything he throws at me is getting countered. I'm telling you that right now. That's what I do. I counter everything. My counters are unlimited. You guys are about to see this firsthand, how I roll in a debate. So I told him, if we're going to do this debate, don't put me on no 2-minute nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Just like all these other, you know, Mikey Garcia fanboys. I'm not a fanboy. I'm a YouTuber. So I get treated with the YouTuber respect. It's me and him. We go back and forth. And y'all Rudy Poo and y'all plum brains listen. And my real G's out here in these boxing streets listen as I give that man that work. I'm about to call him in. He gave me the number. I'm gonna call him. I'm calling in. You know what I'm saying? He gotta have his live stream up too. Oh, okay. My bad, Jose Martinez. I see that you with me, bruh. Look at this. Hey, my real G's out here in these boxing streets, Jose Martinez, Dwayne Edwards. Let's get this stop crying #1 cat, man. I want y'all to ether and murk this dude. he's a straight hater and troll at the highest levels. Anytime this dude comes up with a comment, I want my real G's out here in these boxing streets to ether him each and every single time. Because all he does is come on with some hater and troll nonsense. That's all he does. He doesn't give you anything relevant of anything boxing. What's up, Sean the Icon? What's going on, fam? Jose Gonzalez, man. I know you're a hater, but hey, at least you're a respectful hater. But y'all need to get this guy stop your crying one. Get on him each and every time he gets brolic and he gets out of line. I need him to get ethered, murked, and checked quick, fast, and in the delivery. All right. I just got the notification. I'm about to hit this dude up. We about to get this debate on. Let's get it going. The man just told me to call in. Damn right I watch UFC. Woo, it's time to get this thing rolling. What's up, man?
What's going on, brother? Speak to the world.
Oh, I'm speaking to the world, all right. I got my live stream up. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay.
So what's good with you, Nuke? How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. You know, and you know, this is gonna be a good, respectful, honest debate. We can go back and forth. We can be unbiased in front of the people. You know, let's keep it clean. Let's no low blows like Errol Spence. It's not an Errol Spence type fight. You know, I like to go low and call them body shots. No hitting below the belt. We got to be real.
Okay.
You know.
All right, we can keep it straight boxing, man. So, okay, go ahead. Let's get it on.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go first. Let's discuss the first point first. And the first point is gonna be, and I'll tell you what, I'll go first on this one. I have this a 50-50 fight with Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia. And the reason why I have it a 50-50 fight is because I believe Mikey Garcia's skills translate weight classes. And I believe Errol Spence has a lot of defensive liability and deficiency. My good friend here, Jorge Garcia, said he heard Errol Spence got dropped in a sparring.
See, here we go.
That's interesting.
Here we go with the stories. You know, sparring does have a lot of stories now, but until it's really proven and it's set in stone that actually happened, I usually take that kind of stuff with a grain of salt.
Okay, so you don't believe any of the Errol Spence Jr. sparring stories about Floyd Mayweather, Adrian Broner. So you take all those with a grain of salt, right?
Those I don't, and let me tell you why. Because of the people that were there. The Barry Hunters of the world. Barry Hunter is a respected trainer. And Barry Hunter talked about Floyd Mayweather having the best, and this was like a super chess sparring session. Floyd Mayweather probably went in there initially saying, oh, okay, this is a young guy. I'm not going to take it serious or whatnot. But when he saw that Errol Spence was like, no, I'm going to go for broke. I'm going to show this dude why they call me the truth. Floyd Mayweather got serious. Everyone attested to that. And once Floyd Mayweather got serious, they went back and forth. And Errol Spence gave that man a black eye. Floyd Mayweather fired him and then rehired him and brought him back. That's the truth. See, a lot of people don't want to admit that, but that's the truth. That's what happened in that sparring session. And if you go look at the Robert Guerrero fight, you could see why Floyd Mayweather looked so good. It's because he got that work from the truth.
Okay, now, let's just be honest and unbiased when we break this down. And that's what I love to do. And so I'm going to be 100% unbiased. Sparring, and I don't know if you agree or not, but sparring and actual fighting are not the same. Errol Spence Jr. is known to go into a sparring vastly overweight, outweigh his opponent. He's going in to sparring story. And when you go into a sparring is sparring. It's just simply practice and tune up and work for a fight. It means absolutely nothing to give a guy a rough fight or anything like that in sparring. Do you think Errol Spence Jr. could beat Floyd Mayweather in his prime?
In his prime? No. But that Floyd Mayweather at that time, if him and Errol Spence fought, I think it would be a chess match. I think it would be a back and forth because that Floyd Mayweather in his, what was he? He was like in his early 30s, going into his late 30s at that time. He lost about a step or two. So Errol Spence was right there with him. If you notice, when Floyd Mayweather came back on the scene, he was very selective on who he would fight. He stayed away from the Keith Thurmans of the world. He stayed away from the Errol Truth Spence of the world. He didn't want to fight those young lions. You know why he didn't want to fight them? Because he knew if he would have fought those guys, he would have been in for the fight of his life. That's why he chose the Andre Bertos of the world. And that's the truth.
Well, I got my brother October 4th here, and he says sparring stories don't hold weight in fight comparisons. One fighter may be in a very different stage of camp than the other, so that's not a true match. Okay,
but what about the sparring wars with Terry Norris? Because I mean, see, a lot of times people want to sit here and say that sparring is not you can't take it with a grain of salt. It depends. Some fighters, if they're fighting like a tune-up fight and they're fighting a tomato can, like you say, because I like when you use that term, when they're fighting those kinds of people, then yes, the sparring is probably not going to be the best work. But when they're going up for a mega championship fight, they bring in some top quality guys. You know what I'm saying? And they have some what we call super chess matches. And sometimes in sparring can beat guys up so bad to the point to where when they get to the fight, they may not have all of the goods. Case in point, look at Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo's been getting his ass beat down by Errol Spence so much in sparring that I don't think he had enough in that Harrison fight because Errol Spence was giving him that work. Because these guys were going iron for iron sharpening iron type of sparring. They weren't, you think they were just taking it easy? No, they weren't taking it easy on sparring. That's why Errol Spence was ready for Kell Brook. Because when he sparred against Jermell Charlo, those guys were going blow for blow. They were taking this thing serious. So I agree to disagree in some cases. In some instances, sparring can be very serious.
Well, let's break down the first thing. This is a comment from my brother David Diaz. Charlos equals tight job. So, when you say iron sharpens iron, you want to go into sparring with a guy who has certain type of skills. And, we all know that Jermell Charlo is a one-dimensional fighter. So that's probably the worst sparring he could ever get, especially if he's going to fight a guy like Mikey Garcia. So let me just get a few things from you first. The first thing is, look, Chris Girl says, funny how this dude believes only Spence sparring stories. That is very funny. That is very funny. But let me break this down.
It's not. But see, it's not just stories. You got to listen to the credible people that are saying it because it's Freddie Roach was there. You know what I'm saying? And some of Errol Spencer's sparring. Matter of fact, Freddie Roach was there in the sparring session against Adrian Broner. See, these are credible people, and they talk about Errol Spence dropping Adrian Broner. And they talked about how Adrian Broner was so mad that he wanted to go right back into it to try to keep going at it with Errol Spence. But everybody was telling Adrian Broner, nah, you got dropped. You need to quit.
Okay. So let me set you up for the counter right here. You're not gonna see this check left hook coming, but you're about to get it.
Okay.
And so since you say that, let's just be unbiased all the way. And if you really know your sport, let me just walk you right into this jab. So you say one of the reasons why Errol Spence Jr. will demolish Mikey Garcia is part of your 100,000 part series. And you say one of the reasons why he's going to demolish Mikey Garcia is because Errol Spence is bigger and stronger than Mikey, correct? And Mikey won't be able to handle that type of aggression from a much bigger, stronger opponent.
He won't.
One of the reasons. And so if you believe that, then Mikey broke Marcos El Chino Maidana's ribs. And Marcos El Chino Maidana landed flush on Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s chin and swelled up his mouth. And if the round hadn't ended, he could have followed up and gave him hell.
All right. Well, let me counter that real quick. First of all, we know that Marcos Maidana looked like he about 300 pounds going into training camp. So it all depends. We got to keep everything in context. We gotta keep everything. But we gotta keep everything. You gotta let me say something now. We gotta keep everything in context. Let me tell you why we gotta keep it in proper context, because we know, just look at Marcos Maidana. He's not the most disciplined fighter. We got to figure out, when did Mikey Garcia land that shot on Marcos Maidana? Was it the first week in training camp? Because when I saw the photos, Marcos Maidana looked like he was eating a whole bunch of Argentinian steaks. He looked 300 pounds. That's how he looked to me. He didn't look like Marcos Maidana that fight night against Floyd Mayweather. Now, if Mikey Garcia was fighting that Marcos Maidana that fight night and he landed that body shot on him, and to me, that would have been impressive. But a guy that's first week into training camp, that's way out of shape, I don't put no stock into that. So please, that's rubbish to me.
Now I have to counter that. That's speculation. Marcos Delchino was 175 pounds when he walked in at sparring, and Errol Spence Jr. walked in sparring sessions at 190 pounds. So how do you know Errol Spence Jr. won 180, 185 when he fought Floyd Mayweather in sparring, and that was just a tune-up? So people can say, oh, you gave him a good work, but you're a weight bully. You come in bigger, you come in at a super middleweight size or even bigger. I mean, you're almost a heavyweight or a
But Adrian Broner,
I don't trade stock in that, bro.
But Adrian Broner blows up tremendously. So you mean to tell me, when Errol Spence sparred Adrian Broner was in fight weight? Please. His butt was 20 or 30 pounds heavier. Floyd Mayweather walks around between 155 to 160 pounds in the off season. Floyd Mayweather is probably the most disciplined fighter when it comes to his walk around weight, but he just came out of jail at that time. So I think he was even bigger. So I don't even think he was within 155 to 165 pounds. You know why? Because he wasn't able to have access to the same training regimen. When you're in jail, how can you train in jail the way you train if you're at home in Las Vegas? I mean, come on. What you're saying doesn't hold validity, man. So those guys to me were bigger as well too. Don't make it seem like Errol Spence was just a big guy. And mind you, Errol Spence was just training going into another fight. So if you recall, when he was sparring with Adrian Broner and Floyd Mayweather, he had a fight not too long ago. So how was he 180 and 190 pounds? Come on, man, that's been debunked. He was probably in the 160s.
Hold on, let's clear up a few things. So you said that Errol Spence Jr. dropped Adrian Broner in sparring, because that's a rumor that I got, is that Errol Spence dropped Adrian Broner in sparring, right?
Yes, he dropped him.
And guess who dropped Adrian Broner in a real fight? Marcos Elchino Maidana.
Well, yeah, and you know why he dropped Adrian Broner? You know why he dropped
Garcia.
But you know why he dropped Adrian Broner? Because we all know Adrian Broner, aka About Bullshit, is flat-footed, and he doesn't let his hands go. He's not slick. He's not slick. Errol Spence Jr. That's factually incorrect, because like Errol Spence said to Timothy Bradley, if I am flat-footed and I don't move my head, how come you don't see no grays on my face? How come you don't see me having punishment? When Errol Spence is done with his fight, he looks like Floyd Mayweather. He looks like a pretty boy. He don't look like he got no damage. So when people sit here and say that he doesn't move his head or he doesn't move his feet, the proof is in the pudding at the end of the fight. He comes out looking better, and the fighter looks like they're damaged. They look like they are no longer the fighter they need to be. They look punch drunk and drunk at the same time. When Errol Spence is done with Mikey Garcia, that man will be put out on a stretcher and he will be pissing blood. You mark my words.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and and give you the truth of the matter is that Errol Spence Jr. showed me a fight. Okay, show me a fight. Just because you don't come out and Errol Spence after the Kell Brook fight, he did have a busted lip. He did have a bloody nose. But as you know, blood walks away. Just because he didn't have a severely swollen eye or severely swollen face doesn't mean he takes shots. Half of the guys he fight don't have the power to hurt him or make him look bad. Look at Lamont Peterson, landed flush on his chin many times.
But what happened? What happened when Lamont Peterson? When Lamont Peterson landed flush on his chin, what happened?
Let me finish. I'll let you talk.
Okay.
So now you need to get the unbiased fact.
Okay.
Unbiased fact number one. Lamont Peterson landed flush on Errol Spence Jr.'s head again and again and again, except Lamont Peterson had no power. No power to do anything with Errol Spence Jr. Lamont Peterson didn't have any power to do anything with a Lucas Matisse who knocked him out.
Okay.
So you have to understand that Lamont Peterson came into that fight, a guy who's already been knocked out, and people were giving Errol Spence Jr. credit for stopping a guy later than a guy in a smaller weight class stopped him. Bro, you got to come with that heat and that cruise.
Okay, so Lamont Peterson, hold up. Lamont Peterson, to you, because I've heard you say that, is a C+ fighter. Last time I checked, Lamont Peterson, if you go back and look at the tail of the tape versus Amir Khan, this was Amir Khan in his prime. He won that fight against Amir Khan in a controversial decision. Lucas Matiste, of course, Lucas Matiste dropped him. That's the only credible win, and that was at 140 pounds. See, you gotta, when you tell this stuff and you're saying you're keeping it unbiased, you gotta keep it for real. You gotta talk about the weight class. 140 pounds and 147 pounds are two different stories. And last time I checked, Lamont Peterson, from what I've heard from the Barry Hunters of the world and everyone else that talks about it, Lamont Peterson is not no pillow puncher. The man has crack. The thing is this: he was throwing punches at, no, but let me finish saying, let me say something. Let me just finish this last point. He was throwing punches at Errol Spence, and what you learn about Errol Spence is Errol Spence, like Canelo Alvarez, he has that granite chin, and like Pat Man, he was eating those damn punches up. And when Lamont Peterson saw that he was shook and he was intimidated by the fact that his punches weren't able to do anything on Errol Spence, that's when you knew the fight was turning in Errol Spence's favor. And that's what's about to happen to Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is going to learn quick, fast, in a hurry that Errol Spence spars light heavyweights. He spars heavyweights. So whatever punch he throws, it's not going to do nothing. It's Errol Spence is going to walk through that shit. That's what's about to happen come March 16th. You're going to see the look on Mikey Garcia's face. Well, as soon as he gets intimidated, you're going to know exactly what I know. Because one thing I can say about you is, as biased as you are, you do have some degree of knowing boxing. And you could see at that point, by looking at this dude's face, at that point, you know, okay, the fight is over. Because Errol Spence is going to walk him down in the high guard. He's going to go into his tactical aggression, technical punching placement, and body snatching work punishment style. And he's going to be levying body punches after body punches, and he's going to get his ass out of there. That's what Errol Spence does. That's why when you look at the PBC face-to-face, Errol Spence was laughing, because Errol Spence is like, this dude don't know what I'm about to straight do to him. I'm about to wrangle his ass. That's what's about to happen March 16th. So you got to understand, this is a 5th round TKO stoppage. Mikey Garcia is writing a check that his ass can't cash. We don't know what he is at 147, because, and this is the truth, and I don't even think you can argue with this, he's never fought at 147. So we don't even know what his power can translate at that weight class. We know what his power has translated at 126, 130, 135, and to some degree 140, but he never fought at 147. Errol Spence lives in 147. So when you go in and you fighting this guy, that's the bigger guy, that technically in boxing, when we conventionally say they have weight classes for a reason, there's a reason behind that. And we know conventionally, from conventional wisdom, when the little good guy fights the big good guy, the big good guy wins. And we have 3 recent fights to attest to that. Khan versus Canelo, Triple G versus Kell Brook, and Vasily Lomachenko versus Rigondeaux. What happened in those? The bigger guy beat the little guy, and that's exactly what's about to happen. The bigger guy in Errol Spence is going to beat the snot out of the little guy, Mikey Garcia. I like Mikey Garcia. I think he has good timing. But the thing with Mikey Garcia is he has awkward, he's like Keith Thurman. And a lot of people don't see that with his footwork. If you go and look at the Salido fight, when Salido was throwing those awkward punches, the thing with Mikey Garcia is, like Keith Thurman, he runs himself into position to where he gets hit. He does not like close quarters. Even Robert Garcia attested to that. Robert Garcia said, we need to work on that because we know it's a weakness. See, me, I'm bringing that heat and that fire because I'm a truth teller. What I do is I bring the truth. Robert Garcia, out of his own mouth, said that this is a weakness of Mikey Garcia. So if this is a weakness of his, and Errol Spence has that strength in droves, what you think is about to happen? Close quarter contact all day, every day. We make this thing dirty, and we get his ass out of there. Now you can go.
Okay. Hold on, brother. It's my turn. Let me go ahead and show you why you don't know your sport. And you know, I have to just be honest and unbiased as always. And so if you're subscribed to HeKnowsHisSport right now, go ahead and unsubscribe and subscribe over here to the IBFP if you want the truth and the facts, because you're about to get it. The first thing you mentioned that I just have to tear apart is you can never mention Errol Spence Jr.'s name in the same sentence as Saul Canelo Alvarez. Period. There's just
Cinnamon Alvarez, please.
Around it. You can't even mention their name. You can't even mention their name.
With his 4 glaring deficiencies. Okay, now my bad. I just had to point that out. He has 4 glaring deficiencies.
You got to in North American boxing, maybe even the world. Canelo Alvarez is levels above Spence. And like my brother Barker Ryder said, Spence can't even hold Canelo's jock strap.
Factually incorrect.
You know, and they must got some good Hennessy up there in Alaska. I'll tell you that. Because you sound lit today, my brother.
Oh, boy.
Let me go and give you some of that truth in that quiet.
All right.
Something that y'all don't have up there in Alaska. This is coming all the way from Texas to Alaska. So let's give it to you. Let's start with the first thing you said. Lamar Peterson's best win. Because if we're pulling resumes, Tim Bradley Jr. beat Lamar Peterson over a 12-round decision. Lucas Matisse, a smaller guy in a smaller weight class who's not supposed to be a bigger, stronger guy than Errol Spence, got Lamar Peterson out of there in 3 rounds. It took Errol Spence Jr. how many rounds? 7 rounds. And he didn't put, Lucas Matisse to sleep. He didn't put Lucas Matisse to sleep. He didn't put Lamar Peterson to sleep. He didn't put him to sleep. Lamar Peterson threw in the towel. He was still up on the he could still know what was going on. He didn't put, Kell Brook to sleep. He's not putting guys to sleep. Guys are taking these punches. Kell Brook took a knee because he couldn't see.
Oh, because he couldn't see. He couldn't see. That's your excuse.
You gotta let me
I'm letting you talk. I just had to laugh at that one real quick. But okay.
IBFP, you gotta move out of Texas, fam. You're not welcome down there. Roy Cooper, you don't know much about Texas. If you don't know, I'm not welcome. You might want to get your first thing smoking on the way to Alaska, my brother. But let's just be honest and unbiased when we look at this. And so you said, you said the good big man beats the good little man. I think that's what you said. Is that what you said?
The good big man or the very good big man beats the good or the very good little man. That's usually a 95 percentile.
I'll let you go on a million-year rant. It's my turn.
Okay, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
So I wanted to make sure you said that. So now look at this. Now the good big man beats the good little man. I agree. But you got to understand that Mikey Garcia is not a good little man.
What is
He's
it?
a great little man.
So now he's Floyd Mayweather? So he's Floyd Mayweather?
Let me finish. He's a 4-division weight world champion whose skills transcend weight classes. He's not a good little man. He's an elite little man. He's a great little man. Errol Spence Jr. has not been one undefeated world champion for a belt. That's fired. Name one undefeated world champion he beat for a belt.
Okay, I can name one.
Because he ain't never did.
Can I name one?
Let me keep going.
Okay.
Let me keep going. When you say Canelo beat Khan, the reason why that don't make any sense because you can't look at Canelo and Khan the same way that you look at Garcia and Spence.
But that's exactly how that fight's gonna be.
Let me finish. Garcia has never been knocked out, and Garcia has never been beaten.
Okay.
And then Errol Spence Jr. does not have the skills or boxing ability that Saul Canelo Alvarez has. See, the thing about Canelo Alvarez is he has defense. He moves his head, he moves his feet, he has levels to his game.
No, he don't.
This is something that Errol Spence does not have. He is going to get countered all night.
So let me ask you a question. Why did he go if Canelo has all this defense, why did he go 2 fights with Triple G? Ooh, Ethan and Merck. If he's so good, why did he go 2 fights with Triple G? Ethan and Merck. If he learned so much from Floyd Mayweather, why did he go 2 fights with Triple G? Ethan and Merck. You talking about in the second fight? Because in the first fight, Triple G won by 1 or 2 rounds easily. There's no debating that. Triple G got robbed in the first fight.
Regardless of how we feel about who won the fight, at the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez back up Triple G or not?
In the second half, this is my, I'm going to give you my honest opinion on it because I'm going to be unlike you that say at the end of your video, giving you the most unbiased, but you are giving bias. I'm going to give unbiased in this situation. Here's the unbiased. In the first fight, Triple G won by 1 to 2 rounds. In the second fight, I had Canelo winning by 1 to 2 rounds. And let me tell you why. Because there is a such thing called ring generalship, and you have to give credit. In the second half of that fight, Canelo Alvarez was playing Triple G's game against him, and he was being the aggressor. So you have to give him credit for that. So that's the only time Canelo Alvarez gets credit in the second fight. But in the first fight, anyone knows that. Even you know that deep down. Triple G got robbed. He won that fight. He had the more accurate shots.
But you're ignoring the question. You're ignoring the question. The question is, did Triple G ever get backed up by Canelo? Yes or no?
In the second half of the second fight, I just answered your question. Canelo was the aggressor. He backed him up.
Hold on. So that's all I needed. So let me finish my point.
But what about the first fight? Do you bring up the first fight? Do you bring up the first fight that Triple G? But what about the first fight? What about the first fight? Didn't Triple G in the first fight? In the first fight, didn't Triple G back up Canelo?
Come to the IBFP and get that real, because he's just been.
Come on, man. No. Everybody can see that I countered you beautifully on that one, dude. Because the first fight, see, you want to only go. This is one thing I noticed with you. It's good because when you're dealing with novice people that have blinders over their eyes and they don't understand boxing, they're novices, you're really good at giving selective narrative. You don't give both sides of the tale. Because you didn't mention the first fight. What did Triple G do in the first fight? In the first fight, he was backing Canelo's ass up. I don't know why you negate to mention that. I just gave you credit. I gave you credit on the second fight, but why you not giving me credit on the first fight? I'm sorry, why are you not doing that? You brought up that fight. So I had to be fair about it.
Does not have the skill set of a Triple G or Canelo Alvarez.
But Canelo Alvarez.
You can't compare Mikey and Spence to Canelo and Crawford.
But here's the thing.
You can't compare Mikey and Spence to any of these other mismatches because Mikey Garcia is the more skillful fighter. So in the Triple G Canelo fight, who won? The more skillful fighter in Canelo. In the Loma Rigo fight, the more skillful fighter won in Loma and Rigo. So Mikey Garcia, who's the most skillful fighter?
So hold up. So hold up.
Who's the more skillful fighter?
Errol Spence by droves. He's the more skillful fighter by droves. And you know what's gonna happen? No. And you know what's gonna happen? Hey, IBFP. Let me just say this real quick. Let me just say this real quick. IBFP, that dude ain't letting me get some stuff in. I need to get some stuff in too now. All right, go ahead.
When I said who's the more skillful fighter, he's clearly picking Errol Spence. He feels like he has the size and weight advantage. He feels like Errol Spence Jr. He never agrees on me picking Mikey. But when I said who's the more skillful fighter, you said Errol Spence, which shows no proof. No one that knows boxing would agree with that. And my boy Watsi comes out and says Mikey. Even though he doesn't believe he'll win the fight, he still knows that Mikey.
Listen.
If we're going to debate, we got to debate honest.
All right. IBFP. I like Watsi. Watsi is a guy that's thorough, and he likes to try to keep both of us honest. But in this instance, I'm going to agree to disagree with him. March 16, both of you guys are going to understand why Errol Spence is the elite boxer. Like he told Mikey Garcia in that PBC face-to-face, and like he told him straight up in all of those press conferences, I got pedigree. Anybody that's a real G out here in these boxing streets know what time it is. See, the thing is, you're being a little too emotional right now, and it's showing. I'm staying in my own little monotone mannerisms in regards to this debate. The truth of the fact of the matter is, Errol Spence is, like he said in that first press conference, he's going to show Mikey Garcia some of the extra tools out of the tool yard and the tool shed. You and YC are going to become believers, man.
What are those tools?
Because Errol Spence, I'm going to tell you what they are, and a lot of people don't understand that. Errol Spence does not move his head because, like he said, he parries punches. He blocks it with his hands. And a lot of times when guys, let me say this real quick. You said you're going to let me talk. So let me run. I got to run the floor. I got a lot to say because I got a lot of stuff to counter that you said. Errol Spence parries punches. Let me explain to the Rudy Poo and the Plum Plum brains that don't understand what that is. When you are stalking a guy down, unless you are Keanu Reeves, the Matrix, I don't know no one that's sitting there and moving their head at the same time and stalking guys down and throwing punches. That doesn't exist. You have to be non-human being to do that. It's either you're going to be stalking the guy down or you're going to be moving your head and being on the back foot and being defensive at the same time. That's how boxing operates. See, I'm giving boxing 101 here at the highest levels. The truth of the fact of the matter is when you go and stalk a guy down, you should know this because you like Canelo Alvarez. I call him Cinnamon Alvarez because hence cinnamon because of the red hair. But anyways.
You call him Cinnamon because you're a hater.
No, because that's the truth. He's Cinnamon Alvarez. But the truth beyond this is this. Errol Spence, okay, so let me just get back to this. Errol Spence, when he's walking his opponent down in the high guard, when you're walking your opponent down and you go to swim, you're going to get wet a little bit, meaning you're going to get hit a little bit. But if you notice when Errol Spence gets hit, it's usually punches that graze. They don't ever land fluidly. There's only one puncher that I know that landed a fluid shot on Errol Spence, and that was Emmanuel Lardy. And Emmanuel Lardy was a big motherfucking welterweight. Mikey Garcia don't got no fucking power, nowhere near the likes of Emmanuel Lardy. And even when Emmanuel Lardy hit Errol Spence with that punch, Errol Spence ate that motherfucker up like Pac-Man. He did not fall. He did not drop. See, that's one thing about Errol Spence. We have a blueprint on Mikey Garcia. His ass has been dropped twice on the floor, and he's been dropped by guys that aren't even 147. Errol Spence has fought a whole time in 147, and he's never been fucking dropped. So to me, that's a telling story. So if I got a guy who walks around between 180, 190 pounds, he goes down to 147. I got this little guy, never fought at 147 pounds, walk around weight is what, between 150, 160 at best. Robert Garcia says he's going to be 152 fight night. Come on, man. This guy, once he gets hit by the thudding power of an Errol Spence, he's going to feel real power. He's going to know these punches that Michael Maidana throw. Michael Maidana is not even in the league of an Errol Spence when it comes to the punishment that an Errol Spence levies. Because when Michael Maidana throws punches at you, he throws it in a very awkward and a very unintelligent way. Errol Spence is a guy that does not waste punches, man. That's boxing 101. He sticks to the game plan. That's boxing 101. We're now sitting here and we have a whole bunch of Errol Spence haters that want to knock Errol Spence and say that Errol Spence is not the truth because he stuck to the game plan. That's bullshit. He's the only fighter that sticks to the game plan 100%. How many of these recent fighters nowadays, once they get their heads clocked or once they're in pressurized situations, they don't know how to not stick to the game plan? Errol Spence sticks to the game plan 100%. In the Kell Brook fight, his most tested fight, he put the gas on the pedal. And when you sat there, and I have to debunk that and said that Kell Brook did not get a knee because of Errol Spence, that's bullshit. All you got to do is look at those eyes. Those swelling of the eyes, that was because of Errol Spence's thudding power punches. That knee that went to the ground was because of those body snatching work styles. Errol Spence was systematically, round by round, breaking that motherfucker down. See, boxing 101, what do? Body snatch a motherfucker. You work the body, and then what? Off with the head. He King Arthur his ass. That's what happened. By round 11, he took his ass down. So Errol Spence gets credit. And here's the other thing, too. You and probably a lot of these other Rudy Poo YouTubers that's been flip-flopping all over the place probably at one point had Kell Brook as the best welterweight. Remember, Kell Brook was a.k.a. Special K. He was the one that everybody was afraid of in the welterweight division. Keith Thurman didn't want to fight him. Sean Porter, after he got his ass beat, he wasn't hot to fight him. This was the guy that everybody was saying was the best welterweight. And you know what Errol Spence did? That's how Errol Spence got the boogeyman status. He went and chopped that motherfucker down. And once he did that, everybody, the Danny Garcias of the world, the Keith Thurmans of the world, and the Sean Porters of the world, it's like they caught the Holy Ghost or something. They didn't know what to do because they're sitting there saying, oh, I don't want to fight this dude. I want to sit there and hold back because I don't know if I can beat this guy because he beat the best guy in that weight class. Now, that's facts. That's checkmate right there. Checkmate, dude.
Hold on 1 second, brother.
Checkmate.
We got a few points to go over first. Shout out to All Things Media TV. He comes out and states no one will beat Canelo at 160. All Things Media TV. Now, I'm going to tell you this, brother.
Ethan and murked.
The first thing we're going to talk about, you murked yourself, brother.
No.
You picked Errol Spence.
Hey, go look at the comment sections. Go look at the comment section. The folks are saying that you're emotional. They're saying that I'm winning the debate. I'm reading it.
You know who's saying I'm emotional?
Who?
Fanboys.
Oh, fanboys. Okay. So they only fanboys because they don't agree with you? I got you, man. I'm gonna let you ride with the floor. I got you.
Okay. Because I haven't said anything emotional at all. All the thing that I said was factual, and I said it passionately. So we have to be honest and unbiased when we speak on this. You have to look at it like this. When you look at Mikey Garcia, you wouldn't even admit that he's the more skillful fighter against Errol Spence Jr., yet he's the more proven fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be honest and unbiased, you have to admit that Mikey is the more skillful fighter.
No, he's not.
Just the smaller fighter, and the reason people are picking Errol Spence is because of his size and power advantage. So you have to be honest. Even if Errol Spence Jr. wins, I never flip-flop. If Errol Spence Jr. wins this fight, he still, at this point, would only win because he's bigger and stronger, not because he displays some miraculous skills. You say Errol Spence Jr. is going to pull tools out of the tool bag, but how can you pull tools out of a tool bag when you've never displayed those tools? His tool bag is empty. So when he fights Mikey Garcia, goes to go in the tool bag, and he can't find anything, understand it's because he does not do the right thing. He does not have the best sparring. When he's sparring to Mel Talo, who's completely one-dimensional, when he gets hit on the chin countless times, you said Errol Spence Jr. is going to show all these great tools and defense, and, he uses tactical aggression. Name one fight where he fought a top-level fighter and showed all these great skills. You can't.
I did. The Kell Brook fight. Kell Brook was considered a top welterweight.
Kell Brook has fought nothing but bums.
Okay. Okay.
When he beat John Porter, a lot of people felt that Kell Brook could have easily lost that fight because when they saw Kell Brook grabbing and holding Sean Porter a lot. If we're being unbiased, when he fought Triple G, that was a step up too far for Kell Brook. Kell Brook is a come-forward fighter who sits in the pocket the same way that Errol Spence Jr. does. These guys have very similar styles because they're both big welterweights, so the division, both of these guys should be at 154, if we're being honest and unbiased.
Okay.
If you're being honest and unbiased, you have to understand that Errol Spence and Kell Brook should both be at 154. Kell Brook does not have defense. He was tailor-made for Errol Spence, and he battered Errol Spence multiple times in the fight. Errol Spence grabbed onto Kell Brook again and again. If Kell Brook was the best welterweight or anything, do you think that and Kell Brook was destroyed by Errol Spence? Why didn't Errol Spence want to rematch Kell Brook? Because Kell Brook came to Vegas, I believe, and called him out and asked him for another fight. Why didn't Errol Spence want to rematch Kell Brook? Why is Errol Spence not willing to fight Terrence Bud Crawford? Even Terrence Crawford said Mikey Garcia has pop. Terrence Crawford said that. You got to be honest and unbiased when you break it down that Mikey Garcia will not get walked through. And I'll actually make a bet with you on the line. You said in 5 rounds, that Mikey Garcia gets stopped at Errol Spence. If Mikey Garcia makes it past the 5th round, and you see that he makes it past 5 rounds, because you said 5 rounds, it's over, right?
Yeah, I got it at the end. I got it at the end of the 5th round.
You an open platform and voice on my platform to say whatever you want right after the fight.
Okay.
If he stops him by the 5th round or less. But if he stops him, or if he stops him, sooner or anything like that, you'll still get the thing. You'll still get the platform. But if Mikey Garcia wins the fight, like I anticipate, goes past the 5th round, I need to get that same platform, that voice on your platform, then inform your subscribers that you don't know your sport.
Okay. So can I say something real quick?
Absolutely. Go
okay. All right. So I like this because we letting each other ride. So let me just say this real quick. Okay. Kell Brook is a special K, and let me tell you why. He was the first one that actually gave even your Cinnamon Alvarez a blueprint on how to beat Triple G, because he was exposing Triple G when nobody else could. If you recall, at that time, Triple G was the boogeyman of the middleweight division, right? And when Kell Brook fought against him, those 8 rounds that Kell Brook was using his superior boxing skills, he put it out there that, hey, this is how you fight Triple G. This is how you beat him. So you need to start putting respect on Special K's name, because he's the one that started that blueprint. Hold on. Hey, you gotta let me ride. You gotta let me ride. You gotta let me ride for a second. Yeah, he did. He did. But how did he not? How did he not? How did he not? How did he not? How did he not when Canelo? Okay. Well, you see, this dude ain't gonna let me talk. I gave a point that countered him, and he's not gonna let me talk. You gotta let me talk.
Okay, no, you go for it.
Because before Kell Brook, everybody was afraid of Triple G. Triple G was he had this big boogeyman status on him. Even you, even I, everyone else that watched that fight with Kell Brook, we were like, damn, Kell Brook is exposing this cat. Kell Brook got some skills. I see why he was willing to take the fight. So when people sit here and act like Kell Brook don't got skills, that's nonsensical at the highest levels. And for you, a guy that I would think knows boxing, you sound like a fanboy when you sit here and you say that Kell Brook don't got no skills. Everyone knows Kell Brook got skills. That's why they call that dude Special K. There's a reason why Errol Spence went as long as he did with Kell Brook. First and foremost, in the first half of that fight, I want to go back to that one. Those first 6 rounds, Kell Brook was winning. Why? Because Kell Brook was the superior boxer. And not only was he the superior boxer, Kell Brook was disrupting Errol Spence because of the fact that he was able to time Errol Spence effectively. So Kell Brook has skills. The other thing, too, with Kell Brook is when people want to sit here and say that, Errol Spence fought a damaged Kell Brook. Errol Spence was calling Kell Brook's ass out before the Triple G fight. Kell Brook was the one that was ducking Errol Spence so that he can get a big payday and go fight Triple G. And you know what Errol Spence did? IBF said, nah, hell nah. You the champion. It's either you're going to give this belt to this dude that's been calling your ass out. Mind you, Errol Spence was calling his ass out years before the Triple G fight. He would basically, the IBF was like, either you're going to fight this dude or you're going to relinquish your title. What did Errol Spence do? Errol Spence was like, look, I know you got your ass damaged in the Triple G fight. We're going to give you more than enough time to get yourself ready before you come and fight me. See, a lot of people don't want to talk about that. Before he fought Errol Spence, he was the A side. So let's not sit here and act like he was damaged. When he went into that fight, according to his trainer, Kell Brook's trainer, Kell Brook was in the best shape of his life, and you saw that. That's why that fight lasted as long as it did. So I want to knock this misnomer. I want to knock this misnomer that people keep saying about Kell Brook was a damaged fighter. If he was, why did he go so long? Why did he go so long in that fight? And then here's the other thing. But let me finish. Let me finish because I'm almost done. Let me finish. And the other thing too is people forget. Kell Brook, like Errol Spence, is a big ass welterweight. Matter of fact, he was a little bigger than Errol Spence. That's why the Errol Spence's camp. No, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because if you go and look at their face-to-face when they had the initial press conference, Errol Spence was making fat jokes at Kell Brook. Are you going to be fatter than me? There was a reason why they were saying that. Because Kell Brook was a little bigger.
They make fat jokes about
yeah, but let me just say this. But let me say this. No, but let me say this. I'm almost done. I'm about to close the show. I'm about to close the show at this point. No, but no. You could make your point, but let me just finish this real quick, and then you could counter me as much as you want. Remember, at that point when Kell Brook fought Errol Spence, Kell Brook was already starting to say he couldn't do 147 anymore. That's why he eventually had to move to 154. So technically, he was bigger than Errol Spence. So when Errol Spence fought Kell Brook, the reason why it took Errol Spence as long as it did to chop his ass down, he was fighting the biggest welterweight in that division. Is Mikey Garcia even a freaking welterweight? No. This is why I got it a 5th round TKO stoppage. And to counter this point that you just made about if I'm going to go on your live stream, if it goes longer than 5th rounds, yeah, I don't have a problem doing that. My question to you is, are you going to make a concession defeat video to admit that HeKnowsHisSport is bringing you that heat and that fire when I said, and I called this fight exactly the way I did? Are you going to do that? And if you don't do that, that means you've been G-checked. That means that you're not a man of your word. Because like you said, if you're sitting here saying that this fight is a 50-50 fight, it's going to go 12 rounds, but Errol Spence goes out there and puts this man on a stretcher and have this man piss and blood, what does that say about your fight prediction? It makes He Knows His Sport. It validates He Knows His Sport. So in all honest, my contradiction to you, or my, not contradiction, but my answer to you is, I want a concession defeat video. I want you in your voice, you know, when you go on there and say, you know, this is IBFP giving you the most unbiased. I want the most unbiased, and I want you to say, hey, shout outs to He Knows His Sport. This is my concession defeat video. I have been Sun Tzu, aka Art of War style. The man was right. He was bringing that heat and that fire, and he called it exactly the way he did when he said that Mikey Garcia's little ass was writing a check that his ass couldn't cash, and his ass got put out on a stretcher and he was pissing blood. That's what I want. Because that's what's going to happen come March 16th.
Okay, I'll tell you what. If Mikey gets knocked out in the first 5 rounds, I'll come out and say that. I'll give you that. And I'll say, you know what, He Knows His Sport, brought you the heat and the fire. That's fine. If Mikey gets knocked out in the first 5 rounds.
Okay,
but I'll tell you what, that ain't going to happen. And when Mikey makes it past 5 rounds and shocks the world, what I want you to do is slap yourself on the live stream. And I know that you're probably your biggest fan, D. Jefferson. And I know that's your biggest fan. So let me call D. Jefferson out.
Actually, D. Jefferson likes both of us. From my understanding, he likes both of us.
Let's be honest. It's because D. Jefferson is really a He Knows His Sports fan. And that's fine. You know, you can be a He Knows His Sports fan. That means you don't have a deep level of understanding about boxing.
Oh,
and so
man.
let me tell you why you don't. Because the first thing you said is that Errol Spence Jr., Kell Brook exposed Triple G. You know, we all know before Triple G fought Kell Brook that Triple G had certain deficiencies. And some of the deficiencies that we knew about Triple G was he gets a hit a little bit too much. We knew that Triple G didn't have certain dimensions to his game. We knew that about Triple G, similar to the things that we know about Errol Spence. So when Triple G stepped up in competition, especially against the Canelo when he got his face all marked up, we understand that there's levels to boxing. Just like when Errol Spence steps up against Mikey Garcia, you're going to understand there's levels to boxing. You know, at the end of the day, when you look at a guy like Errol Spence Jr., him not moving his head is going to catch up with him. It's going to catch up with him at some point. And you have to understand that win, lose, or draw, this is a 50-50 fight. And I give Errol Spence his credit that he has a chance to win this fight. And it's a 50-50 fight, a close fight in my opinion. And the reason why I always say that is because he's a bigger, stronger man and anything can happen. But I believe that skills beat power. That's what I believe. I believe Mikey also has power, also has skills, has the resume. And even Watson said Spence's head movement is his biggest deficiency. That will cost him at some point in the fight. Okay. Spence might try to fight tall and long early in the fight, but then at some point he's going to go back to what he knows, and he's going to start going for Mikey Garcia to get him out of there, because the longer the fight goes, the worse he looks. And Mikey's going to start countering him, moving, and using angles, showing levels to his game that Errol Spence Jr. simply does not have. Okay. Errol Spence Jr. is a good, interesting fighter. He's an entertaining fighter. I like Errol Spence Jr., but I think that when people hype him up to make him out to be Floyd Mayweather, he's not Floyd Mayweather with power. That's not who Errol Spence Jr. is. That's not who he is. Errol Spence Jr. is a weight bully at 147 pounds, and if Errol Spence Jr. moves up to 154 where he belongs, he's going to start losing in dramatic fashion against the Jared Swift Hurd, against the Islandi Lada. If he ends up, there's a reason he's avoiding Terrence Crawford and saying he doesn't want that work. You can't say that Mike is avoiding Crawford when these guys weren't even in the same weight class. Terrence Crawford confronted Errol Spence and said, "Fight me next." And Errol Spence said, I'm taking the easy road. There's no excuses you can make for that guy. You sound emotionally invested in Errol Spence Jr. I'm not emotionally invested in Mikey. If Mikey loses, he loses. If Spence wins, he wins. At the end of the day, it is what it is. But I'll tell you what, that Mikey Garcia's skill set will still expose Errol Spence Jr. regardless of what happened. And I don't think anyone truly wants to face Terrence Crawford right now. I don't think any boxer in that 147 wants to face Terrence Crawford. I believe he's a boogeyman. And I believe that his skill set, size, and power. But the fact that Terrence Crawford said Mikey Garcia has real pop. This came from Terrence Bud Crawford. He has him and Mikey don't get along. He's not invested in Mikey at all. So for him to say that Mikey has pop, and he's fighting at 147. And even Womack, Terrence Crawford's trainer, I know that you try to do little snippets on these guys, And so even Bomac came out and said, you know, the reason why Terrence is going to beat Errol Spence because the size ain't going to make a difference. You need to have skills.
Okay.
This is what Bomac said. Mikey got those skills.
Okay, can I say something real quick?
Mikey's punch is going to translate.
Can I say something real quick?
Oh, absolutely. Keep going.
Okay, now, here's the thing. Terrence Crawford, if you notice, I ain't going to say nothing against Terrence Crawford. The only thing that I will agree to disagree with you on is both Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford had a confrontation. And when you look at that confrontation, what you see is the only guy that Errol Spence truly respects. It was one of those, you are on my level. The way that Errol Spence recently talked about Terrence Bud saying, man, he's the only true guy that I know in the welterweight when he was taking shots at Keith Thurman, it's because he has mutual respect for that dude. Just like Bud has mutual respect for Errol Spence. You never hear Terrence Bud Crawford get sly to his mouth about Errol Spence. But both of them have clowned Mikey Garcia, especially Terrence Crawford. And I'm going to explain why. Here's the thing. If this was a Terrence Crawford versus an Errol Spence fight, me and you, our prediction probably would be more in line because of the fact that Terrence Bud has everything that you keep trying to fabricate that Mikey Garcia has. Terrence Bud Crawford actually has those things. And he could actually expose Errol Spence in a lot of regard. I would still pick Errol Spence to win 51 to 49% in a fight like that because it's that close of a fight to me. It's because of the two equalizers. And the two equalizers is his thudding power and that body snatching work. I feel that Terrence Crawford is not as big as Errol Spence. And I feel that eventually in that fight, the size of an Errol Spence would weigh down a Terrence Crawford. But Terrence Crawford has a lot of puzzles with his switch hitting style because he can disrupt Errol Spence with both that orthodox and that southpaw stance. That can fuck anybody up. And that's why Mikey Garcia, when you notice when Mike Garcia takes those little shots when he says, oh, I don't want to be in a boring fight. That's why I picked to fight Errol Spence. It was taking shots at Terrence Bud because he knows if he fights Terrence Bud Crawford will embarrass his ass. Because Terrence Bud Crawford, even you know that, is the superior boxer to a Mikey Garcia. He would whoop Mikey Garcia's ass. And Mikey Garcia knows that. That's why he wants no parts of Terrence Bud Crawford like he did in the 2006 amateurs. Everyone knows that. Now, back onto this whole Mikey Garcia thing. Here's the thing. When you say here and you mention that Terrence Crawford, see, that's the thing with these Mikey Garcia fanboys. They only give one side of the story. They don't never give you both sides of the tale. Me, I'm gonna give you both sides of the tale. Here's the second side of the story. What did Terrence Crawford say when they mentioned the Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia predictions? He said, Errol Spence got to be careful coming in. See, I like to quote verbatim what somebody says. Errol Spence got to be careful coming in. But if Mikey Garcia can't handle Errol Spence's power, we all know how that's going to end. Why didn't you say that second half of the story? Because that's what Terrence Crawford said. See, I'm saying verbatim. I'm saying verbatim. And you got to look at the way Terrence Crawford said that. Terrence Crawford put the emphasis on the second part. He was like, Errol Spence, all he said was this: Errol Spence got to be careful coming in. But Mikey Garcia, if he can't take Errol Spence's power, we all know how that's going to end. Why did he save the best for last? Because he knows when it's all said and done, and go listen to Bomac. When they asked Bomac, because they did a recent interview a month ago, Bomac clowned Mikey Garcia. They were like, do you think Mikey Garcia got a chance? That motherfucker don't got no chance against Errol Spence. Errol Spence going to straight knock that motherfucker out. My boy, Terrence Crawford is the only dude that got a chance against Errol Spence. That's what he said. He clowned Mikey Garcia. He was like, Mikey Garcia don't got. I don't even know. He said Errol Spence is gonna be too much for him. Errol Spence is gonna be too strong. He's gonna be too powerful. I like Bomac because Bomac. The reason why a lot of people don't like Bomac is because Bomac, like me, he keeps the foot on the necks of folks like you. He tells the truth. He's a truth teller, and he told the truth about Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is like Triple G. That motherfucker got no special effects up and down. All he likes to do is sit there. And do unlimited. No, let me finish, and then I'm gonna let you ride on. All he likes to do is sit there. All he likes to do. No, let me just say this real quick. Let me say this real quick. Let me give you my point. Why he has no special effects up and down. All Mikey Garcia has to do in his truest and properest level, he likes to sit there in the pocket in the distance and do unlimited counting. The man does not like close quarter. All you gotta do is look at the Sergey Lipinets fight. Sergey Lipinets is just not Errol Spence. He don't know how to close the show. He don't know how to get motherfuckers out of there. Because when Sergey Lipinets cut the ring off and he had him in close quarters, Mikey Garcia was getting exposed. That's why Sergey Lipinets was having success in that fight. The thing is, Errol Spence does this shit in droves. Go look at the Chris Algieri fight. When Chris Algieri tried to be slick and tried to go from one side of the ring to the other side of the ring and try to do a 40-yard dash, Errol Spence did a 40-yard dash because Errol Spence is a true football athlete the way he is with his lateral movement. He followed that motherfucker down all the way 40-yard dash from one side of the ring and the other and closed the show and got his ass out of there. So this whole thing where you try to be slick and you try to get away, you're not getting away from Errol Spence because the Errol Spence's punishment style is an effective punishment style. You know why? Because it doesn't just close the ring off. It gives you no ability to breathe. Mike, in order for you to time an opponent, you have to have what's called distance. See, I'm breaking boxing 101 down here. You have to have distance so that you can be able to counter somebody. But if you don't have distance to counter somebody, how the fuck can you do that? How can you time? Errol Spence knows that. So all he has to do, suffocate this motherfucker, cut the ring off, and bust his body up. And like Derrick James say, bust them damn guts up. We're gonna see, man. We're gonna hear Mikey Garcia scream like a little girl. That's what we're gonna hear. We're gonna hear bones breaking. This is why I know he's not gonna be able to handle 5 rounds. Because once he gets that first shot from Errol Spence, he's gonna be like, fuck. What in the world did I get myself into? This motherfucker can crack. I don't even know why I put myself in this position. He should have listened to Robert Garcia, which you failed to mention. He should have listened to Big G. They were trying to talk his ass off the ledge. Go listen way back when Robert Garcia first said that Mikey Garcia said he wanted to fight Errol Spence. Robert Garcia and Big G spent months trying to talk this motherfucker off the ledge, saying, don't fight this dude. He's dangerous. Then they changed their tune, and that's why I call them El Delusional and El Hipocrito at the highest levels. They changed their tune because they know Mikey Garcia all of a sudden said, no, I want to fight him. So because Mikey Garcia wants to fight him, now they were like, okay, we're gonna take on the fight. And then now all of a sudden they see all the supposed deficiencies that they didn't see before. So come on, man. Robert Garcia, you can't have your cake and want to eat it too. You did not want your brother to fight this dude because you felt that, hey, I wanted him to fight an easier fight, which to me still wasn't an easy fight. And you failed to mention, see, like you want to sit here and say Errol Spence is ducking Terrence Crawford, but what about Mikey Garcia ducking Lomachenko? Nobody want to talk about that. Hey, see, I like that. You like the way I threw that jab in. Nobody wants to talk about that. That's a fight that's more even for the likes of a Mikey Garcia. You know why? Because he's even in height, they're even in weight, and Lomachenko wouldn't have mind going up to fight that fight. They probably could have fought that shit at 135 pounds. It would have been a perfect fight for Mikey Garcia. And to be honest with you, that's a fight that I could see Mikey Garcia winning. Why? Because he's the bigger guy, and I feel that his timing would be able to disrupt some of the stuff that Loma is doing. But this fight against Errol Spence, like Loma said, what did Loma say? Loma said, Errol too big. He too big. I don't know. This is Loma now, a 2-time Olympic champion, a guy that has boxing skills in droves, that has a pedigree of an amateur background like nobody's business. And what did he say? He also said, for people that want to sit here and say Errol Spence don't got boxing skills, he said Errol Spence has very good boxing skills. Did Errol Spence is too big? I don't know, but we will see. That was what he said. I quoted him verbatim because even he knows that Mikey Garcia is biting off more than he could chew, and he's writing a check that his ass can't cash. Come on, man. I'm bringing facts here.
Let me go ahead and okay, now it's time for me to be unbiased with you and just expose a few things. So the first thing is Mikey Garcia was born a boxer. Errol Spence Jr. was made a boxer. And you have to understand that Mikey Garcia comes from a boxing family. He's been boxing his whole life. Errol Spence Jr. was made into a boxer. He was made into this guy. He's a weight food at 147 pounds. If Mikey Garcia walked into the fight, well, before we go into that, I want to clear what you said about Mikey and Loma. I think the Mikey Garcia versus Vasyl Lomachenko is a very difficult fight. And the reason why that's a difficult fight is because Vasyl Lomachenko has a lot of skills that Errol Spence Jr. does not have. And so Errol Spence Jr. has none of Vasyl Lomachenko's skills. That's something right there. The next thing thing that you understand is the reason why I give Mikey the edge over Vasil Lomachenko is because Mikey has elite power at that weight. The fact that Lomachenko is getting dropped by a Jorge Linares, and the fact that Vasil Lomachenko doesn't have the frame to move up like Mikey does, the power, that's it. Loma has the skills. He doesn't have the power to do it. But you also have to see that Vasil Lomachenko didn't want to fight Manny Pacquiao. That you forgot to call that out. But that's something that you have to be honest and unbiased when you speak about. Another thing is, if Mikey Garcia fights, you know, I like how you bring up Sergey Lipinets. Mikey Garcia is not going to fight Errol Spence Jr. the same way he fought Sergey Lipinets. Do you know how much Sergey Lipinets was on the night of that fight? He was over 160 pounds when he fought Mikey Garcia on the night of that fight. I bet you didn't know that.
Yeah, I did know that. I did know that.
Is that Mikey Garcia still dropped him in the fight. His power still translated against a much bigger fighter. But even at the end of the day, if we're looking at it honestly and unbiasedly, Mikey Garcia will not fight Errol Spence Jr. the same way he fought Sergey Lipinets. This fight will be like no other fight Mikey Garcia has fought. Mikey Garcia will move. He will move around.
So that flaming.
Let me finish my point.
Okay.
D. Jefferson, you don't know anything about boxing, brother. I like you. I appreciate it. You probably need to be on the HeKnowsHisSport stream because I see you going both ways every day. So you go ahead and jump on that stream, brother. But let's just be honest and unbiased.
Come on, man. Don't go after D. Jefferson. Don't go after D. Jefferson like that, man. Don't go after D. Jefferson. D. Jefferson, he supports both of us, man.
And that's the problem. And when I say fanboy, you're not a fanboy because you support a fighter. You're a fanboy because you don't have facts. He's not bringing facts to the table. And that's similar to you. You're talking about tactical aggression. When did Errol Spence Jr. have to use tactical aggression?
Every fight, each and every fight.
Let me finish. Errol Spence Jr. rushes in with brute force.
Okay, if that's what you think. So he's providing a cough?
And he needs an accumulation of shots. He's not a one-punch knockout artist. Lucas Matisse shows better power in stopping Lamont Peterson than he did. So you have to be honest and unbiased when you speak about this. You know, at the end of the day, if we're going to be real and we're going to be honest about it, Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence Jr. is a 50-50 fight. What is your percentage split on that fight? What do you see? What's your percentage split on the Mikey Spence fight?
You asking me the question?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's 100-0. I don't give Mikey Garcia no fucking chance against Errol Spence. I give Mikey Garcia no fucking chance against Errol Spence. I mean, I've been clear. I've been consistent on that. I just feel that the Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia is like Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo. We all knew Floyd Mayweather was going to demolish Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had no fucking chance against Floyd. This is what this fight is like. He has no fucking chance because he's fighting a guy that's superior than him in Errol Spence. It's not just you're not talking about a Provodnikov. You're trying to compare Errol Spence to a Provodnikov. You're trying to compare him to a Margarito. These guys that just come in there and stalk you down and stuff like that. That means there's a reason why we say tactical aggression, because when Errol Spence is coming in, he's coming in smart. He's coming in strategically. He's placing his punches. And you know what? Another thing about Errol Spence that's good, Errol Spence has poise and he has patience. He runs the same thing back over and over again at the same monotone speed. He's not sitting there and doing stuff awkward. You don't ever see no awkward movement from him. Even Mikey Garcia tests that. Remember when Mikey Garcia was saying, Errol Spence does everything. What I like about Errol Spence, he doesn't do nothing special. There's no special flair with him, but he does everything so good. I just do it better. That was his take on it, right? But look at the credit he gave Errol Spence. He said Errol Spence does everything so good. Even your guy, the guy that you're rooting for, said that. So obviously that means that Errol Spence has pedigree. This is not no freaking Margarito. So let's debunk that nonsense. This is not no Provodnikov. Because if that was the case, Errol Spence would have had brain dead like the Timothy Bradleys of the world, who's awkward as fuck himself too. And basically, I don't even know how he was gifted that Manny Pacquiao win, but that's neither here nor there. The point that I'm trying to make is this. Salido. Let's go back to Salido. So Salido is not better than Loma. We all know Salido's a flaming alcoholic that hangs around liquor stores waiting to get all kinds of alcoholic drinks and stuff like that. That dude was the dude that a Mikey Garcia in his prime, he was landing awkward shots on that dude, and he was making Mikey Garcia uncomfortable. And we're not talking about the headbutt. Before the headbutt, if you go and look at the tail of the tape of that fight, when Mikey Garcia was being put in uncomfortable situations in that Salido fight, you saw his face, man. He was like, damn, I don't like this. This is uncomfortable to me. Because what I noticed with Mikey Garcia is he has above average 1 and 2s. But the thing with him is he likes to be so comfortable. He just wants to sit there and time you all day. He doesn't do nothing else. I don't see no guy that's coming in there like a Floyd Mayweather doing a left check hook, that's doing a step out, that's switching up his stance, that's fighting you off of the back foot. I don't see none of that slick shit like a Terrence Crawford. I just see a guy that's sitting there in the pocket and is just timing you and basically using what you do against yourself. Errol Spence is going to eat that shit up alive because Errol Spence has seen so many different styles. Errol Spence sparred Floyd Mayweather, who is leagues above Mikey Garcia when it comes to superiority of boxing. So when it comes to chess match, there's nothing that Mikey Garcia is going to be able to bring to the table that Errol Spence has not seen, because Errol Spence has been in the ring with so many different forms and so many different styles. So this is why I say I don't give Mikey Garcia a chance, because he's fighting a guy who technically is going to knock his head off. And not only that, he's fighting a guy that has the speed advantage over him, that has the athleticism advantage over him, that has the size advantage over him, that has the power advantage over him, that has the lateral movement advantage over him. And he's fighting a guy that cuts the ring off like nobody's business. He's never seen this before. This is why you hear Mikey Garcia. I listen when Mikey Garcia gives his glimpse of truths, when he says, this is the most dangerous fight that I've ever faced. You have to listen to the conviction in him saying that, because he knows. And when he sat there and said Sergey Lipinets, I heard when he said that, Sergey Lipinets, that was a tough motherfucker. He was tough. So if Sergey Lipinets is tough, you don't know what tough is when you fight Errol Spence. You're going to only learn what tough is, because Errol is going to show you this is damn near impossible what I'm about to give you. Because all I have to do is make life uncomfortable. All Errol Spence has to do is use the Andre Ward blueprint that Andre Ward did in the Sergey Kovalev fight, the second fight. Make the shit dirty. Keep this guy away from the distance and keep that shit in close quarters. Because once you keep it in close quarters, you know what you do? You disrupt the guy's timing. Because that's the thing with guys that like to time, like a Juan Manuel Marquez or Mikey Garcia. Because these are the better timers, the better Mexican timing boxers, right? You disrupt their timing, man. You give them looks that they're not expecting. And that's what Errol Spence brings to the table, because anytime Errol Spence throws punches, he never throws the same thing. When Errol Spence throws a jab at you, the next thing he's throwing back at you is probably a double jab. And then the next thing after that is a sweeping hook. Then the next thing after that, an uppercut. He never gives you the same shit. And this is how he's able to dismantle his opponents, because they're like, damn, I can't figure this dude out. This is why he's 24-0. It didn't just come off of the strength of, oh, it just came overnight. Go listen to Phil Logreco and his pleading call of telling Mikey Garcia, don't take this fight. Go listen to Omar Figueroa that said, I felt a punch 11 years ago from Errol Spence. I mean, come on. If this guy power is so overrated, why would Omar Figueroa say that? This is the stuff that I'm talking about. I'm only bringing facts, man. I'm not sitting here and running my mouth. I'm bringing what other people have said. Ethered and murked.
Did Errol Spence Jr. beat Omar Figueroa?
You talking about the amateurs? No. No, he didn't.
Exactly.
No.
It's my turn. It's my turn. Thank you for answering that. Another thing is,
but see, I can be honest and unbiased. Like, unlike you, I can be honest and unbiased. You asked me a question, I gave you an answer.
Well, if you want to be honest and unbiased, you got to start bringing that heat and that garbage.
No, I'm bringing that heat and that fire. That's what I'm bringing.
So let me break it you down for you, especially about that Lomachenko thing. I know a lot of people got a lot of things about Loma. Mikey would beat Lomachenko because of the power. Mikey's an elite level boxer. Lomachenko's an elite level fighter. But I think Garcia would have to be favored in that fight because Loma got dropped by Linares. Even Jose Pedraza gave, Lomachenko some issues. The fact that, that Mikey Garcia is so much stronger than Vasil Lomachenko is going to play a huge part in that. And the fact that, Mikey Garcia is skillful and not just strong. So those are the things that would make life difficult for Vasil Lomachenko. No one's giving Mikey Garcia enough credit in that regard. As far as other things that you said, we have to be honest. The fact that Mikey Garcia has no chance against Errol Spence Jr. is ludicrous. In boxing, everyone always has a puncher's chance. And the fact that Mikey Garcia has shown, power in every weight class, shown elite level skills in every weight class, he is going to come to that fight and shock you and shock the world. Because even if he loses, he's going to expose the weight bully. A guy that does not belong at 147 pounds, a guy that's ducking Terrence Crawford, a guy who took a Mikey Garcia fight. I believe Mikey Garcia beats Errol Spence, but I believe he beats him off of skills, and that's why I believe he beats him.
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question before we close pretty soon. Let me ask you a question. So if Errol Spence does, which, well, I'm not gonna say if, when Errol Spence does exactly what I say he does, is that gonna make you second guess yourself and everything that you were saying? Because what I noticed with you is you went from initially, because I watched some of your other videos, you went from initially saying that Mikey Garcia.
You're my biggest fan.
But you're but here's the thing, you're low key He Knows His Sport fanboy as well too. You just don't know it yet. But here's the thing. Mikey Garcia, you went and said Mikey Garcia has all of these skills, and Mikey Garcia is going to be the superior, boxer that fight night, to then changing your tune because I started calling you out and I started making you triple buck dance and triple back dance to the point where then you started calling a 50-50 fight. You didn't say 50-50 from the onset. I had to keep your ass honest to make you come real with that. That's what ended up happening. Because at first you made it seem like Mikey Garcia was just going to blow this dude out the water because he's the superior boxer. And we know damn well Mikey Garcia ain't. The way you made Mikey Garcia, it's like you made him like I thought I was listening to Floyd Money Mayweather. Now, if this was Floyd Mayweather that was fighting Errol Spence in his prime, I agree with you 100% of the damn time. But Mikey Garcia ain't no damn Floyd, man. So please, get that nonsense out of here.
Let me counter that.
Get that nonsense out of here.
You don't have to be Floyd Mayweather Jr. to beat Errol Spence. You don't have to be Floyd Mayweather to beat Errol Spence. You don't have to be that. You can beat Mikey Garcia and beat Errol Spence Jr. because Mikey has the skills to do it.
But let me ask you a question. Is there a blueprint? Is there a blueprint? Is there a blueprint to beat Errol Spence? Is there a blueprint?
To beat Mikey Garcia. There is a blueprint to beat Errol Spence. Omar Figueroa has.
Okay, but it's not in Errol Spence's professional win and loss column. Ethan and Merck right there.
And so who beat Mikey Garcia as a professional?
But we know there's a blueprint. We know there's a blueprint to drop Mikey Garcia's ass. We saw it happen twice. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna put it like this. Hold on.
I'm just saying.
Let me go back to the whole 50-50 thing. Now, you're absolutely right. I didn't always call it a 50-50 fight. I thought the odds were greater in Mikey Garcia's favor, but out of respect for Errol Spence Jr. And his size and his power, my pick and the way I see the fight evolves over time. And see, I don't just say one thing and stick to it. I look at all the facts and factors and things like that. And I understand that Mikey Garcia is moving up in weight. He is fighting a guy that's naturally 154 to 160 pounder. So I do like to allow my picks to evolve over time. But the one consistent theme in everything that I've said is that Mikey Garcia will win.
Okay, but can you admit this?
I believe Mikey Garcia is a better overall.
But can you admit this? A lot of people have said, and I want to know what your take is on this. A lot of people have said that Eucurus Gamboa in his prime, Mikey Garcia avoided his ass, and Mikey Garcia stayed avoiding Loma. What's your take on that? Because I believe there's some truth to that.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I had to throw that out there.
And this is why you threw it out there. And I can't even do it. It's so comical. Look, you got to look at it. Mikey Garcia is a snow fighter. And the fact that he's taking Errol Spence Jr. on at this point, when a guy who's heavily favored outweighs him by 20 pounds on the night of the fight in his natural weight class. The reason why Mikey Garcia is moving up to fight this guy proves he's ducking no one.
Okay.
That gets 100% proof.
Okay.
If that doesn't prove, because you say Errol Spence Jr. is the truth. Why do you think Mikey Garcia called out Errol Spence Jr. and challenged him to a fight? Because
I respect. Listen. I respect Mikey Garcia for doing that, but you know what I call it? I don't call it daring to be great. I call it daring to be stupid at the highest levels, because you're fighting up against a guy that you're not going to beat. Now, and when you mention this stuff about Mikey Garcia, here's the thing with Mike Garcia. See, there's a little slick stuff Mike Garcia doing. I'm gonna point his little ass out for who he truly and properly is. He never defends his belts at his weight classes. He keeps moving up. He's slick. He keeps moving up. If you notice, Errol Spence this is gonna be Errol Spence's third defense at his weight class. Mikey Garcia does not defend his belts. He wins the belt, but then when he sees the Gamboa, oh shit, I don't fight this motherfucker. Or the Loma, oh shit, I ain't fighting this motherfucker. He does that. See, you're not mentioning these things. Mikey Garcia thinks he's slick, but he's not out slicking me. Because that's the thing with me. I see the blinders that people try to put. Like you're real good at trying to put blinders on people's eyes, but you're able to do it to these Rudy Poo and Plum Brain Mikey Garcia fanboys. You know why? Because they are brain full of mush and they're brainwashed dodo heads. They don't know better. But people like me that's deep thinkers, out here in these boxing streets, I see that foolery that you're trying to put over people's eyes.
Let me speak to that. You said he never defends himself.
No.
Are you saying that? Hold on. Let me finish. Are you saying that Mikey Garcia should have took a Richard Comey fight instead of a Errol Spence fight? Because Richard Comey is going to be much more difficult than Errol Spence. Is that what you're saying? Because that defense would have done nothing for Mikey Garcia.
Richard Comey versus Errol Spence? Please.
And he's taking on a much bigger task than Errol Spence. So the fact that you would try to bring up a point like he's not defending his belt when he takes you on a bigger,
because he ducked Crawford. Crawford wanted to fight. Crawford wanted to fight Mikey Garcia at 140. What happened? What happened when Crawford was at 140? What happened? Mikey Garcia be dunking these cats, man.
With the belt, Errol Spence Jr. said, "No, I'm taking the easy road." So you gotta be honest and unbiased. You gotta be. That Errol Spence Jr. is a high job. He's too big for the division, and he will be exposed against Mikey Garcia. Win, lose, or draw. That's what's going to happen. Mikey Garcia is going to put on a boxing clinic and give the world the blueprint on how to beat the weight book. That's what and they're not going to call him Errol the Truth Spence anymore. They're going to call him by his new name, Errol the Live Spence.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. See, you see what you just did? You see what you just did? Because that's what folks like you do. You're very selective. You only want to hear what you want to hear. You see, when I brought up Loma, when I brought up Gamboa, and I brought up Crawford, you don't have a counter for those things. Those guys were calling Mikey Garcia's ass out. They were calling Mikey Garcia's ass out, but he don't want to fight them. And Crawford even went to Robert Garcia and told Robert Garcia to his face. I mean, straight G-check Mikey Garcia. He said, "You know I'm gonna bust your little brother's ass, right? You know how I fuck his ass up." And you know what Robert Garcia was doing? He was just laughing his ass off. He didn't want to make the fight. Why was he gunning to make that fight? Because he know Terrence Crawford would have gave Mikey Garcia, and I know you know that deep down, because the way that I see the respect you have for Terrence Crawford, I know you know Terrence Crawford would give Mikey Garcia a fucking boxing lesson. You know that.
Okay, now let me speak to Mikey Garcia and Terrence Crawford. I think that's a very good fight. I'd give Terrence Crawford the edge over Mikey Garcia because Terrence Crawford has the reach advantage. Terrence Crawford is more acclimated to the weight, and Terrence Crawford has just as many, if not more, skills than Mikey. But trust me, by no means.
So you giving? You see the contradiction? You see the contradiction?
Let me get to my point. Mikey Garcia has skill and power. And I think the fact that Mikey Garcia's power is going to translate, he could hurt Terrence Crawford in that fight. That's the thing. Errol Spence doesn't have the skills to get to Terrence Crawford the way that Mikey Garcia does. So that's why it'll be a different stylistic match.
But you see how you fell into that trap, and you see the hypocrisy behind it. How you gonna sit here and say Terrence Crawford has assimilated to the weight when you're talking about 147? And you feel because he has done that, he's going to beat Mikey Garcia. Errol Spence been living in 147 pounds, man. And Errol Spence is stronger. And Errol Spence is stronger than both of those cats. He's stronger than both those cats. He's stronger than both those cats.
Here's the thing. Errol Spence Jr. had his whole career at 147. That's meaningless because he doesn't have the skills that Terrence Crawford has. He doesn't have the skills that Mikey Garcia. See, it all goes back to skills, brother. It all goes back to skills.
Okay.
He does not have those skills.
Okay.
He just has size.
Okay.
His punching power is vastly overrated.
All right.
Vastly overrated.
Hey, Nuke, man. Nuke, you a cool ass dude, but I'm gonna tell you right now, everyone could see in this debate that I have Ethan and murked you, man, because I counted everything you said. I counted everything you said, dude, and I counted it beautifully, beautifully. This, I think, you know what? I think this is the first time that you're so uncomfortable. You know why? Because this is the first debate that you actually have not won over anybody. You know why you've been able? You know why you've been able to beat everybody else in these other debates? Is because I see the mastery in what you use. You use this skill. And see, when I say this, you're gonna be like, damn, this dude know me too well. You know why? Because I'm in your head before your head. That's why I say Sun Tzu, aka Art of War style. You like to use this skill of giving people a selective style of boxing. And you know what you do? You've mastered the art of giving them that selective style of boxing in so much of a degree to where they actually become brainwashed by it. Me, I see that for what it is. I counter it because I see that it's only one side of the tale. And I'm like, hold up. You got to give the other side of the tale. And this is why I'm always going to be able to Ethan murk you, because I'm always going to be able to say, hey, there's two sides to the story, not just one.
Okay. Well, hold on, brother. We're going to wrap up the call, but I just want to say something. Just a few things just to counter that, because you said you Ethan and murked me, you beat me in a debate, which you clearly didn't. You know, I brought up.
I'll let the fans judge that. I'll let the fans judge that.
People can feel how they want to feel. At the end of the day, the truth is the truth, and it's going to stand on its own.
Okay.
And the truth is not Errol Spence Jr. Remember that.
Okay.
And the other thing is I'm going to say is, you Ethan and murked yourself on this.
Okay.
And the reason why you Ethan and murked yourself is because you tried. You tried to make a case, but the fact that you showed that you're Errol Spence Jr. fanboy by saying Mikey has no chance is ludicrous.
No, because you know why I say no chance? You know why I say no chance? You know why I say no? I'm gonna give actually I'm gonna give Mikey Garcia a chance. Let me tell you how Mikey Garcia has a chance in this fight. You want to know?
What?
Here's the chance. If Errol Spence comes 3 times the alcohol limit, or if Errol Spence has a serious injury to his foot, man, Mikey Garcia got every chance to win that fight. But we all know that those two things ain't happening. We all know those two things ain't happening.
All right. Well, we're going to have another live debate on the week of the fight, everybody. Me and HeKnowsHisSport. We're going to have another
or me or IBFP or whatever the fart his name is.
We're going to have another live debate on the week of the fight. We can have one after the fight.
Yeah, man.
We can just keep going on because, there's going to be a rematch after Mikey steals that belt.
Nah. Nah.
What
we're gonna see is a short day in the ring, and a long day in the hospital. And Mikey Garcia is gonna be reevaluating everything, because come March 16th, it's gonna be RIP Mikey Garcia, and he's gonna be a shell of himself. That's what's about to happen.
Well, the truth is spoken, and that's an IBFP. Unbiased, as always. Thanks for
This is HeKnowsHisSport, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, man. You take care, bro.
All right, see you next time.
All right, later. Woo. Y'all boys know I won that debate, man. Come on, man. I told y'all. What am I? Sun Tzu, aka Art of War. I brought that Nas, that ether, that shit that make your soul burn slow. Now, come on, man. I put the foot on the what? On the necks. I'm gonna say that again. I put the foot on the what? On the necks of these Rudy Poo and Plum brains. Y'all go tomorrow on each and both of our pages.